What's up, folks? How we doing? Thanks for checking out the video. In this one, I'm going to go over a Perception Outlaw 11.5. And this is rigged to be an electric fishing kayak. And I'll show you how I've got it rigged here in just a minute. This is a 11.5 foot kayak. The Outlaw has a very blunt back right here, perfect for this transom modification. So it's basically like building a transom onto the back of your kayak, and it's also pre-drilled for these sorts of attachments, right? You can put a power pole back here, which is like an anchor pole, any sort of things like that. Will totally work with the Perception Outlaw 11.5. This is an affordable trolling motor. The Newport vessels, 55-pound thrust, 12-volt trolling motor. This is an affordable option, guys. You can spend a ton of money on electronics and trolling motors. This is a cheap one, right? Just to get out on the water. 55 pounds of thrust is plenty of power to push a kayak, even a heavy one like the Outlaw 11.5. And I'll talk a little bit more about why I chose this particular boat for this style of fishing here in just a few minutes. But you can definitely downsize, go the water snake, something like that, with the electric motor. That's going to be a lot cheaper. And you can also downsize the battery. As you can see, I've got a full-size battery box in here, but you know, it's just meant to protect from splashing water. You definitely don't want to get your battery submerged. You can put a smaller battery in this battery box, no problem. But as you can see, the tank well here on the back of the Outlaw is plenty big enough for a battery box, also a tackle box, or cooler, that sort of thing. Now you're probably wondering, how do you control the trolling motor when the handle's all the way here in the back? Well, it's real simple. You basically just offset the trolling motor handle to the back, or to the motor, and add an extension onto this handle. That way you really want just straightaway speed, right? So when I'm fishing in this, I don't want to do donuts or turn one way or turn the other way. I just want this motor to be pointing directly behind the kayak. And why? Well, in a kayak, I can use my paddle. This is a Vibe Ember paddle, but you can use just about any paddle to create drag on one side of the boat or the other, right? So if I wanted to turn this way, I would just drop the paddle into the water here and the boat would turn, even though the electric motor is just lined up straight in the back. So that's typically how I use these. You want to keep it as simple as possible, right? Don't overcomplicate things. And when I'm using something like this, is straightaway speed. I'm trying to knock down a mile or two or more, and not so much zigzag back and forth. Once I get to my fishing location, then I'll turn the motor off and use the paddle to fish and work the the holes in the rocks and the ledges and timber and point and that sort of thing. But one reason I chose the Perception Outlaw 11.5 is its stability and its open deck. So you've got a little bit of storage up here up front for dry bags, or a small day cooler, or more tackle boxes. Tackle box is probably the best spot because it's got an open deck, right? There's nothing in between you and this storage area. So it's real easy to just roll forward, put your knees on these padded areas right here, get into your kit, and then roll back into your seat. Now, the Perception Outlaw is wide. Really wide from one side to the next, and that's going to help with its stability. That, and it's got a kind of a pontoonish hull, so this is going to be one of the more stable kayaks out there. It's built for standing, it's built for stability, not for paddling speed, right? It's not going to be a great kayak when you're trying to paddle against the wind, but when you have an electric motor, you're negating that problem altogether. So yeah, nice standing and fishing platform. You can even lay out up here if you wanted to, and I really like that. You know, nothing, you know, like a gear console in the middle that's just going to keep you in the same position all day long. You can really kind of move around on this deck. Gear tracks here on these handles. You can add, you know, electronics like sonar, rod holders, additional tie downs, whatever you want, cup holders on the side. I like that. It definitely comes with a cup holder on both sides, big enough for like an Nalgene bottle, and then more gear storage here and gear storage underneath. So lots and lots of room. It's only got one seating position, which, you know, I would say would be the only real downfall of this particular kayak. It's a very high seating position, and that's not going to lend itself well to moving water in a river. I mean, you can do a lazy river in this no problem, but you know, there's certain situations in rapids where you want to be able to drop that seat down and lower the center of gravity, and you just can't do that with this kayak. So this is more of a pond hopper, lazy river type of boat, but with the power of the motor and the range of the motor. 4 rod holders here on the back, gear on both sides, gear underneath. Great kayak for bass fishing, saltwater fishing, even though that Newport vessel trolling motor is not a saltwater trolling motor, so don't try that. If you're gonna go saltwater, get saltwater gear. But other than that, awesome setup for bass fishing, ponds, intercoastal type stuff, things where the water isn't too rough or the flow or tide isn't too difficult. So thanks for checking out the video. Hope it's been informative. That's a quick overview of my Perception Outlaw 11.5 fishing kayak.